to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, man? Hope you guys are doing good today. Just figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a cool little strumming, to get the video started, man. Yeah, so what's happening, man? Well, check this out, man. If you please join me in a moment of silence followed by a serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers and for those of us who are still bound to some sort of struggle that keeps us from moving forward in this toxic life that we live in, man. Yeah, so if you would, join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All right, well, let's get this podcast started, man. What's happening? Another day, right? Another day in recovery, another day in sobriety, another great day to be alive. Yes, it is. Well, what's happening, man? Check this out. What I wanted to share with you guys on this video, man, is something that I come across this morning, and it's just something that I pulled out of the in a daily meditation, man. It talks about fellowship today, and that's what I want to talk about, man. I want to talk about how important fellowship is in your journey in recovery, in spirituality, in just life in general, right? And so having fellowship, man, it's just this, for me personally, in my own personal experience, has been this thing that is it's a very important part of the process. You know what I mean? It's a very, very important part of the process, and I don't believe that someone can attain that recovery without the fellowship. And the fellowship can be whatever you want it to be. You know what I mean? When I say fellowship, it's the help of someone else. You know what I mean? Because you come to this understanding that, hey, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I'm getting consumed by this behavior, and I have no control now. And how do I get the heck out of here? You know what I'm saying? How do I get back to a place when I was happy, when I was, living, when I was, making some money and had a job or had a family or whatever your case is, you know what I'm saying? And you want to know how you can get back to that part of you. Because right now, everything about you is consumed in that turmoil, that thing that thing that got you chained down. You know what I'm saying? And for me personally, and this is just speaking out of experience, was the bondage of addiction. You know what I mean? The bondage of childhood trauma, the bondage of trauma itself, the bondage of depression, of loneliness, of being angry. You know what I mean? And because of that bondage, it spiraled my life in a direction that I didn't need to go that way, you know what I mean? But because of that attachment to things of the past, things of the future, in a sense of things that, I need to get back to where I was, or it's because of this that I'm doing this, or whatever, right? And it's through the fellowship, I believe, that I started having this different thought process, because when you're bound down to these things, whether it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what that bondage is, and it, like I said, it could be anything. You know what I mean? Anything from addiction to an eating disorder to a depression to dealing with grief, whatever it is, right? And let me take these off because I want to kind of get on this. It's a couple of these notes that I got here, and fellowship is important. You know what I mean? And it plays a pivotal role in the journey of recovery. And it's like this cornerstone, if you will, of helping you get out of this hole, right? And because when you're in this hole and you're just there in this wallowing in this misery, in this suffering that you're dealing with, it's hard to get out of that. It's hard to get out of that hole without you seeing it from somebody else's perspective, from somebody else's lens. So when you have these other opinions, these other minds that are telling you, hey, try this. Perhaps this can help because I've been where you're at. You know what I mean? And this is how I got out. And that may not be for you. It maybe it's the next person's story, or the next, or the next. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that you gotta keep your mental thought process open, and you have to be open-minded. You have to be truthful, and you have to be willing to accept that help. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are stubborn in our ways, and it's either my way or the highway, and we're still in this bowl of misery. You know what I mean? And why not? Why not try somebody's way? You know what I mean? And I had to do that in my own personal journey. You know what I mean? I heard somebody's story one time at a meeting, and because of that gentleman, because of his story that was similar to mine, I decided that I was going to try some of the things that he was doing. You know what I mean? And I did, and it gave me 10 years of sobriety, man. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful to that dude. You know what I mean? I have no idea who he is, but I remember sitting in a meeting in Comfort, Texas, man, a while back. You know what I mean? And that guy's story gave me 10 years of sobriety, and I'm grateful to that dude, man. And I'm grateful to the not only to that guy, but to the program that I was in. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna find yourself that you're gonna have to sometimes try different things, because not certain programs are gonna work for certain people. You know what I mean? And they keep saying, then one of the cliche things that they say is they say, keep coming back. You know what I mean? And don't leave too soon. You know what I mean? Don't leave before the miracle happens. And for some people, it takes a while. You know what I mean? Sometimes a miracle comes like that, in an instant. And for some, it takes years. And for some, it never comes. You know what I mean? But that's the part where you really have to be truthful with yourself and open-minded and willing to try those things that you haven't tried, because up to this point, if you're still in the misery, things haven't been working very well. You know what I'm saying? So why not give it an opportunity if the track record shows that it's working for someone else? You know what I'm saying? I think to me it's like a no-brainer kind of thing. You know what I mean? But anyway, let me go on to a few of these other things that are down here. It says, by engaging in a fellowship, they find solace in knowing that they are not alone in their journey. This shared understanding cultivates empathy and compassion, creating a safe place where individuals can share their stories, learn from one another, and celebrate milestones together. Emotional support, but also instill a sense of accountability that encourages individuals to stay committed to the recovery goals. You know what I mean? That to me right there is powerful, because the only way for you to change your mental thought process, because ultimately that's what we have to do if you want to overcome any obstacle that is hindering you. You have to change your mental thought process, because so far the way you're thinking isn't relieving that suffering. You know what I mean? So you have to be open-minded, truthful, and willing to try a new mental thought process. And the only way that you can do that is by getting wisdom from someone else. You know what I mean? You have to get the wisdom from someone else. You have to study. You have to, when I say study, that means you got to read on things. You got to research things. You have to, watch other podcasts, documentaries, whatever's going to fill your mental thought process with karmic, good spiritual karmic wisdom of a divine nature, then that is going to flood your mind with all these beautiful things that are going to clear that hardened mental thought process that you have, that you've been using for years and years, that have got you nothing but misery. You know what I mean? It goes back to the old saying that the more that you put these good things into your mental thought processes, the more you're gonna start seeing those actions come out in you. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, when you do an action, when you say something or do something physically, you're doing it because of something that you allowed into your subconscious mind. You know what I mean? You pick that up, and wherever you picked it up from somebody else's mental thought process, goes into yours, and now you're doing this action, right? And for a lot of us, when we're in that misery, we're doing exactly that. It's a repetitive cycle of misery. Misery in here, misery out here. Misery in here, misery out here. You know what I'm saying? And the cycle goes on and on. So it seems like you're in this hamster wheel effect, that the hole is just going deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's looking harder and harder to get out. And it looks like the light is just going away in nothing but darkness, because you have all these films of delusion, of all these negative things is what's hindering you from seeing the light, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And the more that you start cultivating new things into your life, like doing creative things, like getting yourself out into these peer support groups, going to join these meetings or groups of people, of like-minded people, going to the church groups or going to these outings. They have get-togethers all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And even just going to someone's house to share. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe you need to start that in your own community or whatever. But it's something that if you don't do the work, you're never going to get out of the misery. You're never going to get a different mindset. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, you'll stay where you're at. You know what I mean? You'll stay where you're at, and things won't change. And like one of these guys that was in these meetings that I went to, long ago, this dude, his name is Greg, out in San Antonio, Texas. Yeah, this dude, man, he was like, he always says, it always stuck with me. He always says, man, you know what? Check this out. If you do nothing, then guess what? Nothing happens. And that's so true. You know what I'm saying? If you do nothing, then nothing's going to happen. The world of recovery, the world of spirituality, of this divine connection, it's not for the lazy. You have to do some work. You know what I'm saying? That's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you have to do. You're going to have to get into the trenches, and you're going to have to start, shoveling away some of that mud. You know what I'm saying? Because right now you're in this bucket of muddy water, dude. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep pouring that beautiful knowledge of wisdom, spirituality, of divine karmic energy. And the more you pour that stuff, that clear water, into that bucket, eventually that bucket's going to get clear. And that's the same way with your mind. The more that you pour that stuff into your mind, eventually you're going to start thinking like that. And in turn there, you're going to start getting these beautiful divine actions. You know what I'm saying? And it's a different thought process. You know what I'm saying? You're going to know. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come all of a sudden. You're going to be like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? You're going to catch yourself doing things that you wouldn't have ever thought that you would do. Like myself. I never thought that I would be here in front of a camera doing a video podcast talking about recovery, spirituality, and that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? I would have never in a million years believed that I would be doing that. But here I am. You know what I mean? Here I am trying to share a message because I care. Because I've been in those situations. And I've gotten a miracle that hit me. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get out of that realm and learn new things. You know what I'm saying? And right now I'm on this spiritual path that I'm learning new spiritual ways to live, man, and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's healthy, number one, and it's cool when you can share that with somebody else, and it's even better when somebody else sees that you're a transformed person. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing is that you're gonna find yourself transforming yourself, and it all starts in here. You know what I mean? When you transform your mental thought process, it connects to this that's over here. It connects to the chakras. And the chakras is part of the mind, the body, the heart, the soul. You know what I'm saying? And it all works. It intertwines together. You know what I'm saying? And it sends off this energy that is connected to that divine energy. You know what I mean? And when you do that and you connect yourself there, then things start happening. You'll start feeling and watching your life transform before your eyes, and it's great. You know what I mean? But you can't do it if it's just one person. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you can't do it because it could possibly happen. You know what I'm saying? But that road is going to take a long, long time. You know what I mean? We weren't here. As human beings, we weren't meant to be on this earth to navigate and roam around this life that we live alone. You know what I'm saying? We're a tribal type of people, and we depend on the tribe. We depend on our fellow man. We depend on our little knit circle of people that we got to lean on. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have that circle anymore, then you got to go find your circle. You know what I'm saying? And in the rooms of AA, peer support groups, Dharma recovery, just the smart recovery, just different. There's a lot of different programs, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of different rooms that are free to go to, number one. You just have to be open-minded, willing, and able to get there, to do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to, you got to want to do it, you know what I mean? And you're going to have to put in some work, you know what I mean? And by no means is it going to be easy because, man, who likes to walk through the mud, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes you have to walk through the mud to get to the other side, man, you know what I'm saying? And when you do that, beautiful things start happening, man. You know what I mean? And I'm living proof of that. You know what I'm saying? But let me read on a little bit more of what we got here. It says, creating a supportive community is essential for fostering an environment conducive to recovery. This community can take many forms, from formal support groups to informal gatherings among friends and family. The key is to establish a network where individuals feel safe to share their experiences and seek help when needed. Supportive communities often emphasize open communication, active listening, and mutual respect, allowing members to express their feelings and concerns without fear or stigma or rejection. The foundation of trust is vital for encouraging individuals to engage fully in their recovery process. In addition to emotional support, and strong community can provide practical resources that aid in recovery. So yeah, it's just that. It's just that close-knit relationship that you're gonna build, and it's gonna be. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna be a little scary at first, a little intimidating because you're in this, and you walk into this room that there's different people of all ethnicities, males and females, and just different races and stuff like that. So you don't know anybody in here, but I can rest assure you that if you do walk into a room like that, you're going to get shown some love. You know what I'm saying? And the point is to keep going back and to be open to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And just sit there. It took me a while to actually open up and share and seek some help. I went into these rooms for months just sitting there. You know what I mean? Just sitting there listening to people's stories. But those stories were seeds that were being planted. You know what I mean? And eventually I came around and started talking to people, you know what I mean? And then just making new friends and then just, hey man, will you want to come to a meeting with us over here? Or we're doing this event, or we're going out here, we're gonna go bowling or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And you meet these people that are like-minded, and then your foundation starts getting strong. You're rooted down into something that is gonna keep you from falling over, you know what I'm saying? because it's hard, man. It's hard, especially in early recovery, to fall. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to fall. It's hard to stay rooted and grounded in something that's working. You know what I mean? Because we all are prone to that default. You know what I mean? To where we feel comfortable. And in early recovery, it's a big part of detaching yourself from that. You know what I mean? So. It's imperative that you make new friends, that you get into a community, and you can try different meetings, you know what I mean, different rooms, different events, and whatever. I do a whole lot of different ones, and it's just my personal preference. You know what I mean? I go to AA meetings, I go to NA meetings, I go to Dharma recovery, I go to Bhakti yoga, I practice at the Buddhist temple, I practice with the Hare Krishna folks, and just I involve myself in these different things, in these different communities, because it helps me stay grounded, and it helps me, and it reminds me of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That I'm here to spread a message of help, that of hope. You know what I'm saying? That there is a life outside of addiction. There is a life outside of depression. There is a life outside of trauma. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to say that, genuinely say that, it's amazing. You know what I mean? And I just hope that it's helpful to somebody out there. You know what I mean? And that's the whole purpose of doing these videos for me, is to share the message, right? And hopefully that somebody needs to hear that message today. You know, and just don't. I know that at first, man, I would just be like, I would stay outside the meeting for a while. You know what I mean? Like I get just embarrassed to go in. You know what I'm saying? And all the meanwhile, everybody's just like me. You know what I mean? Everybody has even worse problems than mine. You know what I mean? And here I thought I was like this special dude or whatever. Oh no, nobody can know my problems. And I walk in there and hear these stories, and I was like, oh man, I had a cakewalk compared to these dudes. You know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, what's wrong with y'all? You know what I mean? But it's the point is that you have to be open-minded and willing to make that first step and go into them rooms and to make a connection. You know what I mean? And to keep going. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna have to go to more than one place. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to find the place that you fit into. And for me, I had to do that, and that's just my personal journey, my personal experiences. And right now, I made a home in the Dharma Recovery Center. You know what I mean? I made a home at the Buddhist temple, and I love it. You know what I mean? That's just that's my path, and I'll continue to go. You know what I mean? Wherever the energies tell me to go, that's where I go, man. You know what I mean? So I like it. And it's like today, today we're gonna have us a drum circle, a Native American drum circle that we go. It's this whole cleansing the soul type thing. You know what I mean? To get rid of negative karmic energies and stuff like that, and just one of the things that I do. You know what I mean? So it's cool. You know what I mean? It keeps me grounded, and it keeps me open in my mind to the new things, and to not forget. Not forget the where I started, which was in the darkness. You know what I mean? And I'm glad to be out here in the light and be able to see and being able to share a message and that sort of thing. But yeah, so I guess that's gonna be it for today, man. It's fellowship, man. So get out there and seek some fellowship, man. You know what I mean? It's always fun to be around people, man, like-minded people, and to help somebody, man. Maybe you're one of these people who's already got some sobriety under your belt. There's always somebody who needs to hear your story. You know what I'm saying? So get out there and share it, brother, sister. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess that's gonna be it, man. But if you would please, at this moment, give me a thumbs up. Shoot me a comment if you want to comment about anything. You want me to talk about something, whatever. You know what I mean? And if you would please hit that subscribe button, because the only way I can share the message with somebody is if I have more followers, man, and share the channel and that sort of thing. Yeah, so if you would, please, I'll be grateful that you do that. And I guess until the next time, man, on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.